8:37 here, Big 550 KTRS. David Stokes with us. Do you have a new title over there at the Show Me Institute?
I do. I'm the Director of Development now.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Kelly.
Did you get a raise, or did you just get a title change?
Oh, yeah, it was like the old Cheers episode. It was just Samuel. Oh, I thought you wanted a raise.
We cannot give you a title. We can only give you a raise. Wait a minute, a title?
Right. Woody fell for that one, hook, line, and sinker.
All right, Director of what? Director of
Development.
Director of Development.
But I'm for a few things that we love so much, like our relationship with the McGraw Show.
Yes.
I still study policy to be able to be informed when I
or
whatever we call this.
Are you still doing policy stuff or no?
For you?
Oh, that's it.
And a few other instances.
Okay. All right. Are you like higher than most people now? I mean, that actually came out wrong. Are you higher on the food chain over there?
Not in the morning, McGraw.
Are you better than everyone else over there?
Yes, that's exactly right. All right. You wanna pick on these people who are upset with solar panels?
Right. It's just another example of people, governments, or homeowners organizations, which are often private entities.
Right.
So this isn't a criticism only of the government here. Yeah, it's another example of people trying to tell other people what to do with their property. And it's very frustrating. If somebody wants to put a solar panel on their home or their business, I think they should be allowed to. And there actually is a state law that apparently says that, which I learned about in reading the Post-Dispatch story on this over the weekend, that there is that right, but of course it hasn't been. Just because it says it doesn't mean there's not going to be 18 years of litigation to determine what the actual words mean, of course. So we'll solve it one of these days. But yes, I think people should be allowed to put a solar panel on their roof if they want to, whatever the zoning or the property indentures say. I don't think those things are right.
Back up a second. So the story came out over the weekend, and this was just waiting to happen because you see more and more solar panels on roofs, and I was even thinking to myself, boy, at some point someone's going to get upset with somebody having solar panels on their roof, and so lo and behold, now you're starting to see some of these communities through their homeowners association complain that people are putting solar panels up on their yard. So some are saying you can put them on the back, but you can't put them on the front. Well, it all depends on which way the house faces to put the solar panels on to get the most amount of sunlight to save the most amount of money. And your argument is that the person across the street, well, I'll ask you straight up, why do I have to stare at your ugly solar panels on your roof? You're ruining my view.
I would say that the property rights of the homeowner should trump the view of the other person, of the person across the street. That is in no way a legitimate harm if you actually try to define health, safety, and welfare. These reasons that government, or in this case, homeowners associations, step in to regulate our lives, that there has to be some actual harm or risk or something else there to excuse that. And I don't think solar panels rise to that level. I don't think somebody not liking the look of a solar panel on their neighbor's house is a legitimate reason at all to restrict the property rights of that person who wants to put that solar panel up.
I mean, where will it stop? Will you no longer be able to? Will you be allowed to start parking pickup trucks in your driveway next? Is that crazy? Is that next?
Because there's been a case that's been argued with that. Someone had an old model car in their driveway or a car that has, a business car that's kind of a truck that they're not allowed.
Right, so you're not allowed in the driveway. Yeah.
I don't know.
David?
And yes, I think you should be able to park your car in your driveway or on the street in front of your house. And I had a pickup truck for about a year, probably a decade ago. And when I lived in Richmond Heights, if I parked it on the street overnight, on a few occasions I did get a ticket for parking a pickup truck on the street in Richmond Heights. Now, if I parked that truck in the driveway of my apartment building, it was fine. But it was not allowed on the street, and that was very frustrating.
If you lived in Ferguson, you would have gotten 4 tickets. See? What about in all seriousness, no. I don't want somebody parking their pickup truck or their car up on blocks in their front yard. What's if somebody doesn't mow their yard? What's if somebody, doesn't sort of keep the house up and ruins the neighborhood and ruins the property values?
Well, that's right. That's why this discussion isn't as simple as either the nanny staters and the
Right.
busybodies want to make it to control all our lives, nor is it as simple as just say, do what you want. It's your property. For grass isn't such a hard one. I mean, grass that grows out of control or weeds that grow out of control, not only is it unsightly, but it can also be, unhealthy.
Right.
There's a lot of issues that can have with that. So I don't have a problem with reasonable rules on the vegetation that grows in your yard. There are legitimate health, safety, and welfare reasons that comes into play. And as far as a car up on blocks, yeah, I mean, everybody has to reach a compromise here. I do
Right.
think you should be able to park your pickup in your driveway. If your car's up on blocks and sitting there for months on end, then most homeowners associations are going to have a rule against that. And I think that can be enforced. It would be great if it was so black and white, so cut down the middle, but
Right.
it isn't.
Right.
But I do think solar panels fall squarely on the side of things that some people should be able to do no matter what the zoning or the property owners' rules say.
I think
And
there's
I live in a place with very strict indentures.
Right.
I mean, our neighborhood in University Hills has very strict rules for many, many of these things.
Right.
And there is a voluntary aspect to it. You don't have to move into that neighborhood, and you do know that the rules
Right.
apply ahead of time. However, we also know that many of these same homeowners associations had rules 50 years ago saying only people of a certain race could live in this neighborhood.
Right.
And we all know how illegal and unconstitutional and wrong that was.
Right.
And you don't just get to say whatever you want just because it's a private homeowners association and not a government zoning rule.
Yeah, but yes, and I have a feeling that this solar panel issue is going to get bigger and bigger as we go forward, as more and more people start to put solar panels on, and the price comes down, it becomes more energy efficient to do so. Here's my problem I have with it: they say put it on the back of the house, not the front of the house, so the person behind you's got to stare at the ugly panels, but the people in front don't have to stare at the ugly panels, right? And a roof isn't all that pretty when you get right down to it.
Yeah, I mean, a roof is a roof anyway. Some of them just are
Right.
not cute.
Right.
So what's wrong with having panels on a roof? It's just
I
one
don't
more
think
ugly
solar
thing.
panels are ugly.
I don't think they are either.
Like,
They're kind of sleek, to tell the truth.
Now,
Yeah, but you're wearing that sweater, so I don't know. I don't know if I
This is
should.
an Irish sweater for St. Patrick's Day.
It's a green sweater. Yes.
It's from that Kerry Cottage place nearby.
I love that place.
They
Right
sell
there
Irish
on,
stuff.
on Big Bend?
Right.
Yeah, on my way to St. Louis Closet Company. Yeah, right there.
Right there.
Yeah, right there. All right. Anything else we need to know?
Well, just that we need to constantly be aware of restrictions on our freedom don't just come from the federal government. There's all sorts of ways that small governments, be they homeowners associations or whomever, restrict our rights, and you have to fight back when you can. And it's just a good example. The state has a role in here, and there is a bill in the legislature to do this, to come in and just trump it. And with all these things, I'm getting tired of the idea of local control, and we get to do it. As long as it's small.
Whoa, hold on a second. You're tired of local
Yeah,
control?
I'm tired of cities or these tiny little governments, be they TDDs or CIDs, just acting like because they're local, they're fantastic because they're small. You know what? There's a role. The same way that the state has every right to come in and tell a city they can't just fund themselves through citations.
Yes.
I do think that the proposed legislation to allow solar ordinances and to basically trump neighborhood covenants or whatever, I think that would be a good change.
What about the federal government telling the states what to do?
I think, look, there's certain instances where that's going to be fine. I don't think that the state of Missouri should be able to, declare war against Belize.
All right.
I mean, there's certain things that the federal government has to do. And there's a role for different governments, and you have to be conscious of those roles.
Mm-hmm. Can Uplands Park declare war on Belize?
If that would help speed the disincorporation of Uplands Park, then I would. Which 50% of the people wanted, it just didn't get to the 60%
We are going to be
level.
talking about Uplands Park because they're back in the news because there's either their city administrator or their city clerk floated an idea that the police officers actually shot themselves to create some negative publicity for the area. So we'll talk about that in the 9 o'clock hour. David Stokes, when can we read you and when can we see you?
A lot of information on zoning and other rules at showmeinstitute.org, and our blog is showmedaily.org.
Truth is, do you have solar panels on the front of your house?
We do not. We have a type of roof that it would be hard to put solar panels on, almost
Okay.
impossible to put them on.
Okay.
And when we did an addition to our house, a deck, over the summer. We looked into it,
Right.
but because of the various things, the way it's facing, the fact that the roof on the deck is flat,
Right.
we were told it was not
It wasn't going to work.
it wasn't a wise investment for us. We would have done so if it had been, and then we would have had a discussion with the neighborhood association to see if it was allowed.
They would have sat
Well,
you down.
what about neighborhood associations that say, I don't want a satellite dish on your roof? There's a lot of those going around, too. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We don't want it too big or too small or too this or not on your porch and not on your that and everything else. So, all right, David Stokes, have yourself a good week.
Thanks, McGraw. Thanks, Kelly.
Take care.
8:48 here, Big